Welcome to another episode of Chat Sports Talk. Welcome to week 6 of the 2024 college football season. And we have seen some amazing games thus far and definitely some head scratchers, teams imploding, some great matchups between programs. And we'll have to go over the previous week's trials and tribulations as well as my 10 picks for Saturday. Let's dive into last week's week 5 action where I did very poorly. I went 4-6. I did try to pick a few upsets that didn't quite pan out. The Georgia-Florida game led up to the hype. This was all what's crapped up to be. And these guys' defenses pretty much fell apart towards the end. I mean, Alabama jumped out early, but Georgia came screaming. Finally started coming back in the fourth quarter. Held the lead, had it, then a last-minute touchdown. That was it. A bar burner in Tuscaloosa lived up to the hype. This was the greatest game so far this season, and hats off to Alabama. I knew they were going to make this a game. Georgia always seems to every so often have one of these games that just slips away from them, and they almost had it against Kentucky, and they let this one slip away. They just couldn't tackle. That's all it boiled down to. You know, I did pick Georgia to go in there and win, try to get back to number 1 status. This aspect put Alabama number 1, so you got that one going for them, but yeah. Wrong way off the get-go. And then you had Ohio State going up to East Lansing. No problem there. Easy pick for me. The Illini heading up to Happy Valley take on Penn State. And I knew the Illini was going to lose that game. They actually made it a contest for a while. I mean, that first drive, the first drive of the game, Illini marched down the field and scored a touchdown. And that was it. Penn State defense shut them down. It was towards the end where Penn State's actually finally to get over that hump and score a couple more, but Penn State squeaked past the Illini. Good game for the Illini. Still a loss, but I picked the victory because I did pick Penn State. I didn't think the Illini had it. In Salt Lake City, Arizona came to town and just dominated the Utes. I thought that since Rising wasn't back, that last week they were done, but showed up. Doesn't matter who's quarterback. Utah is going to win. So I'll probably the same mindset to this game. Not so much. Arizona, I mean, it wasn't that pretty at all. I mean, 10-3 at the half. But they just continued to press forward, even though Arizona had pretty much all the stats he needed. It's just Arizona was able to shut down the plays they had to shut down, limit scoring to only 10 points, and walk away with 23-10 victory, giving me another loss. Up in South Bend, I told you the Irish were going to come up and play. They did. They came out early and often, 24-14 at the half. However, towards the end of the game, that's when we started Louisville starting to come back. Louisville was able to shut down the door. Even though Sog had three passing touchdowns for the Cardinals. But, you know, nothing much else. And the Irish were able to hold on and get a nice victory against a good ranked team and a very good team themselves. 31-24. There we go. Over to Manhattan, Kansas, where I thought Oklahoma State's going to go in there because K-State looked horrible last week. And I'm like, okay, this is going to just transpire. No. They took that beating. I think they took some people questioning them. And then they just took it. Giddens was just almost unstoppable for the Wildcats in the rushing, over 180 yards rushing, but only touchdown. Avery Johnson had 5 total touchdowns in this game. Bowman couldn't do much for the Cowboys, and K-State just ran all over, passed through. I mean, use whatever euphemism you want, but the Wildcats dined on Cowboy meat and then beat them 42-20. Over in Boise, I thought Wazoo was going to go in there and take a victory. I wasn't too much into Wazoo right there, but Ashon Gentry went wild on the Cougars' defense. Almost 260 yards and 4 touchdowns. He was the deciding factor in this game. If he wasn't there, I don't think the Broncos would have won, and they just kept feeding the ball. He kept busting through, doing what he had to do. Wazoo didn't live up to the hype, fell short, and give me another loss. We have to Bloomington, Indiana, where the Hoosiers playing host to the Terrapins. Last week, I didn't believe in them, and they went to UCLA, won. Now, I was like, all right, I'll give them that hype. Definitely did that work. Almost 360 yards, 3 touchdowns in the air. Hemby, over 100 yards with a touchdown. Indiana looked really good. I mean, Maryland's not a marquee win, but definitely a win against a quality team. And they're 5-0. When's the last time you ever said the Hoosiers are 5-0? Definitely have to keep an eye on them in coming days. Went out to Las Vegas, and I thought UNLV would be done. When Saluka decided to just sit out because he wasn't getting his NIL money that was promised over a phone, no written contract, so he has no legal standing. I thought that was it. I was like, okay, Keene's going to go in there, pick him apart. No, UNLV's defense stepped up. Hajj Malik-Williams was phenomenal in there, as he having 4 total touchdowns himself. And the Rebels just demolished Fresno State. The defense scored. The quarterback was scoring. It doesn't matter who it was. And the Rebels crushed the Bulldogs 59-14. It was definitely a one-sided affair in that aspect. Then we had out to Durham, North Carolina, where you had the classic rivalry game between UNC and Duke, normally meant for the hardwood floor, but on the gridiron. And it was a slappy game by both teams. It was a tale of 2 halves even. The Tar Heels were up 17-0 at the first half. I'm like, all right, they got this in the bag. Criswell's doing it very well. He had over 250 yards, 2 touchdowns. But Thomas for the Blue Devils, which is a running full, over 160 yards on the ground with a touchdown. And the Blue Devils defense stepped up in that second half and allowed North Carolina 3 points. North Carolina's defense got tired, and they allowed Duke to come back to win 21-20. Giving me my final loss. And I'm just going, what WTF? But that's what it was. There are definitely some other interesting games out there. BC had to come from behind and beat Western Kentucky at home. Definitely a unique one. James Madison almost put up 63 points on Ball State, showing their dominance. And I think James Madison could be that. If not UNLV, it could be James Madison as the Group of 5 representative in the playoffs. But that's last week's showdown, and so games did not go the way that I anticipated. Go figure. So we got see what week 6 has in store for me. Once again, I got 10 games on the docket, and let's go ahead and start off with our Saturday showdown with the only top 25 matchup in there. We head back out to College Station. That's where A&M's back in the top 25, actually 25. Play host of number 9 Mizzou, and see if Mizzou could go in there into Kyle Field and survive the 12th man. Now, a lot of people thought A&M could knock out Notre Dame beginning of the season. I thought differently. This aspect, I don't think Mizzou is going to have the ability to do that. Cook has some decent numbers, almost 950 yards passing, 4 touchdowns, and a pick. He doesn't throw a lot of touchdowns, and that could be part of the problem. Can Moss continue to establish the run? I mean, he over 470 yards on the ground with 3 touchdowns. He needs to be the focal point. A&M's defense really needs to step up. I don't see A&M losing another home game. So they're going to take pride and try to defend their lair. And I think the home and 12th man is going to prevail and end Mizzou's undefeated season and knocking them off. Right now they're favored by 2.5. I like that as well. Aggies. Now we have to Louisville, as the Cardinals still ranked 22nd after their loss in South Bend. We'll play host to 401 SMU Mustangs in an ACC clash. That's right, both schools are in the ACC now. Well, Louisville's been there a while, but SMU's in there. There's definitely one of these games that everything points towards Louisville. I mean, Sullivan should have another productive game like he did against Notre Dame. I don't see that really transpiring differently. SMU is definitely an interesting character to look at. There's a lot of games people say, hey, no, they got it and they lost. And the other games, they're not supposed to win, they win. So it depends on which version of the Mustang shows up. Is it the wild one or the tamed one? If Smith can be a focal point for that Mustang's rushing attack, he has over 500 yards, 7 touchdowns. If he continue to drive that in there, that's one of the things that Louisville had a hard time stopping against the Irish was the run. And that could open up a lot of other things. If SMU's defense could step up, it'd be great. Right now, Louisville is favored by 6.5. Like I said, everything's pointing towards them. I'm going opposite direction. I'm going to take SMU in the shocker. Things will be close. I do. If they do end up winning, it will not be a by a lot. It'll probably be by like 3 or lower. But I'll take the Mustangs in the upset. Then we're headed to Charlottesville for another ACC clash between 4-1 BC and 3-1 UVA, and trying to see which one's going to take the next step. I mean, BC had so far their only blemish on their record is against Mizzou and Columbia, but they're scared against Western Kentucky. Probably highlighted a few areas that they were weak in, so hopefully they have time to address those in time for UVA. Virginia hasn't really been tested yet, so this is going to be a huge factor for them. Goldera, over 1,000 yards, 7 touchdowns, but he does have 4 picks, and that's going to be a key factor. And can Brown find pay dirt? I mean, he almost has 300 yards on the ground, but he's yet to score, and these are some issues the Cavaliers have to look at in terms with the Eagles. Right now, the line has the Cavs by 1. I like BC in this matchup because I think they have a little bit more, into them. Even though most of the stats are run now pointing towards Virginia, but it's only a 1-point advantage. It's a pick'em game, so I'm taking BC. Now we head to Columbus, Ohio, to Ohio Stadium and Horseshoe with the number 3 Buckeyes of Ohio State take on 3-1 Iowa in a key Big Ten showdown. Can Howard continue to progress further? I mean, he has over 1,000 yards in the air, 8 touchdowns and 2 picks. Can Johnson for the Hawkeyes continue to dominate the rushing attack? 685 yards on the ground and 9 touchdowns. This will be a key factor, but Ohio State's passing attack is going to be a complete difference. Will the offensive line protect Howard enough to find his receiver, especially Smith, who has over 360 yards and 5 touchdowns? His number 1 target. Can Iowa try to eliminate that aspect? But if you do that, who else is going to step up? Right now, Iowa's favored by 18.5. No. I would take Iowa for the points because I don't think it'll be 18.5. I do think it will be double digits. I do think it'll probably be like a 14, maybe 17 win. But I will go give to Ohio State. I think just too much talent on the offense, but they're going to struggle early against the Iowa defense. Iowa defense will just be on the field way too much to get exploited. And once the cracks start to show, that's when the floodgates will open. But then Iowa defense should hurry up and fix it at a half, lock things down. But I do think the Hawkeyes will come out of there with the loss. But like I said, I don't think it's going to be anything like 18 or nothing. I think it'll be closer to like the 14, 16 time frame. But Buckeyes. Then we head down to Columbia, South Carolina, where the Gamecocks 3-1 play host to 4-1 Ole Miss, who got shocked by Kentucky, team that South Carolina beat in Lexington. So a little fascinating, as the world turns, But, Ole Miss is looking for revenge now. They're trying to regather themselves and step their seal of approval, their dominance in the SEC, trying to make sure they're one of the teams that could be sitting on top, vying for that SEC title, or if not, a large bid. And I expect Dart to throw darts. He has over 800 yards passing, 13 TDs and only 2 picks. Parrish, under 490 yards, 8 touchdowns. I expect these guys to reestablish their dominance. I expect Harris to be the focal point once again. He's already 800 yards receiving, 5 touchdowns. I don't expect huge offensive numbers by Ole Miss because South Carolina does play defense, and they will stifle the Rebels for a while. I do expect South Carolina probably to be leading at half. But right now, Ole Miss is favored by 8.5. I do think it will be a little bit lower. I do think it's going to be a 7-point game. But I will give it to Ole Miss to have a bounce-back game against the Gamecocks. Then we head over to Lincoln, Nebraska, where the Cornhuskers at 4-1 will play host to undefeated Rutgers. Yeah, that's right, 4-0 Rutgers, who came off with a huge home win against Washington. Nebraska, the only mark in their record right now is a loss to the Illini. Rule's got these guys playing immensely. Raiola is trying to embody Patrick Mahomes because he's got that look going. But, his 9 touchdowns, 2 picks with over 1,200 yards passing. It's Nebraska's defense needs to step up to shut down Rutgers and try to keep Monagea from establishing too much. I mean, he's almost a 590-yard rusher with 6 touchdowns. And if they can establish dominance on the defense, stop the running attack, there should be no issues. I think Nebraska is talented enough on the offense to surpass Rutgers' defense. Nebraska's favored by 6.5. I do think it's going to be closer than that. Might be a 4.5 type of game. I am taking the Cornhuskers to defend the fields. Now we'll go head out to Monroe, Louisiana, in a Sun Belt Conference showdown between James Madison and Louisiana Monroe. The Dukes right now are undefeated. They have some huge offensive games. I mean, you score 70 and 63. I do expect their offensive prowess to continue. I don't foresee them going 63 points, but I do expect them to be in the 40s. I do think Monroe probably put up a little more of a fight, but not much. Right now, James Madison is favored by 16. I don't see any issues with that. I don't see James Madison, hitting up. Right now, the over/under is like 48.5. I think it's going to be on the over aspect of that one. Because I do think James Madison probably end up getting like 42. But I think Monroe probably end up getting like 24. So I do expect this game to be a little bit closer, but I still give it to James Madison. Like I said, James Madison is definitely going to be one of these teams to look out for towards the end of the year for a possible playoff spot if they can win the Sun Belt. Now we head to the ATL and Bobby Dodd Stadium as the Yellow Jackets play host to undefeated Duke in a ACC showdown. And Duke had a tough going against North Carolina. very emotionally spending game. You had to come from behind to beat your arch nemesis. It's a time for a letdown. Georgia Tech, who started off strong and started to falter afterwards, needs to bounce back in a big way. And I have a feeling a game against Duke, who's riding high right now, showing that they are vulnerable, might be the game the Yellow Jackets need. Right now, the Yellow Jackets are favored by 8.5. I don't think it'll be that much. I do think it will be a very close matchup, a party go like the 2-point range. But I will give the Georgia Tech to bounce back and get a big victory over an undefeated Duke. And another ACC showdown in Berkeley, California. Modern conferences make no sense to me, but anyways, the Hurricanes coming to town, take on the Golden Bears. Now, Cal's had some impressive wins, especially winning in Auburn. But Cam Ward knows Cal all too well. Used to be the quarterback up there in Wazoo. Transferred over to Martinez. Used to be running back for Oregon State. So both of these guys know Cal. They should have a very productive game. If Cam Ward can maybe not throw a pick, because right now he's averaging a little under a pick a game. I mean, at 5 games, he has 4 picks. But he has over 1,700 yards in the air with 18 touchdowns. I don't think there'll be much difference. I do think Cam Ward and the Hurricanes will go in there and put the Bears back in their cave and put them in early hibernation. Right now, Miami's favored by 10. I think those are good odds. I'm taking Miami as well. Then we head down to Tucson with the U of A Wildcats playing host to Texas Tech's Red Raiders. Arizona at 3-1, Texas Tech at 4-1. Which team's going to come out on top in this Big 12 clash? Now, Morton is looking pretty good, over 400 yards, 14 touchdowns, 2 picks. So offensively, it looks like the Red Raiders are poised. But Arizona has resurrected the Desert Swarm defense. That's going to make it difficult for the Raiders to air it out, even run it out, because Brooks has over 500 yards, over 550 yards even, and 4 touchdowns. I do think Arizona's defense is going to be a huge factor, because look what they did against Utah. But U of A has also been known to disappoint as well when it comes to the field, and I think that will also be a key factor as well. The offense will keep it close. The defense for Arizona will ensure that the mistakes the offense make doesn't really hurt them too much, and then set up the offense for better opportunities. Arizona right now is favored by 6.5. I'll tamper expectations down a bit. I think it's going to be closer in that one. Texas Tech has too many weapons on offense to really overlook. I think it's going to be more of a defensive showdown, but I do have the Wildcats defending their den. There you go. Those are my 10. I mean, only a couple of them I think I went on the limb a bit. Just see how things kind of play out. Another interesting one is the first in the Commander Chief Trophy battle between Air Force and Navy. Air Force will be wearing their AFSOC-inspired uniforms, and I think falling short against Navy, because right now Air Force this year is not the best suited team right now. The games I watched them go and watched them play have not been inspiring. We'll just kind of see how that one transpires. See how Appalachian State handles leaving their home after being devastated by the Hurricane Helena, and how they can come off that emotional and play in Marshall. But, definitely aspects to look at. As we all know, the hurricane ran through 6 states. So the federal government's doing their part to go in there. If you want to donate, ensure you find the right legitimate organization to send money to or donate items to help those individuals, they'll probably be greatly appreciated, as that continues to be a more and more devastating as the days go by. But, let me know what you think about these games. Like I said, I kind of overstretched some of these, but which games you think I got right, which ones I got wrong, which games you wish I thought I covered, and what game you look forward to this weekend. Let me know down in the comments below. If you're still here, liking what I'm doing, go ahead, hit that thumbs up. Greatly appreciate it. It really helps boost the signal for this channel and for this video up to get more viewers. More viewers I get, the happier I am. And you like what I'm doing, you like the ramblings, sidetracks, little side missions, and sometimes soapboxing, think about subscribing. Not many of you do. It doesn't cost you a dime. You hit that subscribe button. You click that bell icon, turn on notifications. Next time I post any more content on my channel. And I will see you next time on Chat Sports Talk.